Hey guys, welcome to my channel. It's your boy Zach about to attack another review. Today I'm going to be breaking down the good, the bad, and the ugly of Netflix series Sweet Tooth. I'm really excited to get into this one. Let's go. Sweet Tooth is based off the DC Vertigo limited series of the same name by Jeff Lemire. It is about a boy who lived in the woods who's half human, half dare. He loses somebody dear to him, and he embarks on a new journey protected by a gruff protector. That's the synopsis that you will see online if you look up the show. And I feel like it doesn't give the show the full story of what the show is about justice. Sweet Tooth is more than just about a half deer, half human boy starting on a new adventure and being protected by a gruff protector. It reminds me of all the Disney fantasy movies that we used to get, but they have like a darker tale. If you look at the original stories of all those Disney movies that we used to love, where sometimes it doesn't have a happy ending or sometimes there's something darker going on. Sweet Tooth is about a boy named Gus. He's a half human, half deer hybrid, and in this world, years before he was old enough to speak, when he was a baby, a pandemic started. The pandemic started right when hybrid humans were coming about, so everyone believes that they are the reason why they're here. That part of the show hit very, strong at home, obviously, because right now we've been going through a pandemic ourselves over the past year. So I was immediately able to relate to that fear of catching something that's unseen. It might hit too close to home for some people, but I feel like it's not pushing your face so much to a point where it takes you out of the fantasy of the story, because this is a fantasy. It has a very storybook feel to it. It even has a narrator in the beginning that sounds like the old school narrators of movies and trailers or even series that you would see. And it basically tells you the theme of what that story is about. But even past, the pandemic that's happening, past this fantasy thing we're having where they're having these half human, half animal hybrids, which I gotta say, they look fantastic. The prosthetics that they use, for the most part. The show is very layered because Gus, the person that's on all the posters, he is not the only main character in the show. The other main characters in the show are a doctor who is trying to figure out a cure, a woman who has a new purpose in life, and she's trying to protect another half human, half animal hybrid who she found randomly, and it gives her a new purpose in life. And all the supporting characters in each person's story are all great and uplift each story. While all those things are going on, there's themes of fear, phobia, what's going on. It's a lot of things that we see in the news today. So a lot of those themes are very relatable and brings some realism to this fantasy world that is sprouting because of these hybrid animals. So now that you guys got a feel of what the story is about, I'm going to talk about the good. One thing I got to say right off the bat is that I really like the characters in this story. They're all very likable. They're all very different in no one. I feel like no one is exactly the same character. You have Gus, who's this naive boy. He lived in the woods most of his life. He doesn't really know what's going on, only what's been told to him by his caretaker. And he's now going on this journey where he's seeing the rest of the world. He's out of the woods, and you also, as the viewer, are seeing everything through his eyes, because obviously this is similar to our world, but things are very different because at least with the pandemic that's going on in real life, things were kind of under control and things were starting to where we can start doing things like we used to do. In this world, the pandemic never ended. It's going on for decades, and you see the strain that it puts on people, and Gus doesn't understand that because he's been alone with his protector for so long, and he has to learn how to interact with people, why people do certain things, why sometimes it plays a lot with the gray area of things, and also that comes to one of the characters I like the most, which is the villain. Which at first I thought I wasn't gonna like him because he looks like Dr. Robotnik, straight from the video game, not like the Jim Carrey version. And he seemed very mustache twirly at first. When you get down to the brass tacks of his character, when he starts having these conversations with people that he's hunting down, you can see that he's one of those people that has really great intentions, but maybe going to the most extreme. But I like that you can get an understanding of why he's doing what he's doing, even if you don't agree with the way he's doing it. Those are some of the best villains, and we're getting more and more. I could say antagonists like that in media these days. Another thing I think is great is the people who created the show, with the visuals, the tone, the music, all of it feels great. The music is really fantastical. It feels like a lot of like a lot of flutes and violin, and it really brings that like that Harry Potter feel. Like when you hear that, and you might hear in a Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings. It's like stuff like that that really sets the mood. And the tone of it, for the most part, feels very fun and adventurous. But when it gets to the dark parts, all that stops and it gets really gritty, and it's really surreal, because one moment you're watching this deer, half hybrid kid running around seeing all these great things that he's never seen before and experiencing foods he's never seen before, and then the next moment someone's getting burnt alive and you're like, whoa. It shows that there's two sides of things, like because they're showing certain characters who have been living through this, dealing with all the other people in the world and what they're going through, and Gus, who's been quartered off, like he's been cut off from the world, not knowing what's really going on. And it gives you both sides. You get to see a lot of different sides. You get to see the phobia that everybody's having. You're seeing the theme of family. A lot of the characters are dealing with loss of family because of what's going on, especially the protector, the person that's protecting Gus through this journey, and what motivates him to protect Gus. All these things are revealed slowly to you as they go on this adventure to help him find possibly his mother. All that was very, very gripping. Now let's talk about the bad. For me, dialogue is a big thing for me, and for the most part, I felt like most of these actors have really great chemistry, but there were just certain parts of certain episodes where the dialogue just felt off. I'm not sure what it was. I don't know if maybe they had to replace lines, because sometimes in these shows, they will have the character say something and then have them re-say it over in post and just like dub it over the person's lips. But it was just something about the dialogue in certain scenes, not throughout the series. For the most part, is really good, where it got like cheesier than it was already. For this series, because it's such a fantasy series where I feel like kids can watch it, but there's things for adults as well, like a great Pixar movie. There's enough cheese where the people who are lactose intolerant won't get a lot of gas, but then there's some times where there's too much cheese, where it's the stereotypical, you can believe it kind of stuff that goes on, where it takes you out of it, and you're like, what is going on here in this particular scene? And let's talk about the ugly. For the most part, like I said, for the hybrids, the half human, half animal children, the prosthetics definitely were really great throughout, especially with Gus, who's the main character, and Piglet, who's one of the supporting characters for one of the main characters in the show. But when they start showing more of the hybrids, you can tell that they kind of cheapened on the budget with some of the practical effects. So, it's something minor, but I think a lot of people will notice it, because it is a big focus in the later half of the show on those kids, especially a big like fancy action scene that's in the show that they're a part of. So hopefully, if this gets a season 2, I think it will get a season 2, because it is really a great series. 8 episodes, really easy to digest. They can do a little better on that. And for questions for you viewers, for the people who have seen it, do you feel like we could have gotten more this season? The way it ended, I felt like I wanted more to happen before they ended this season. Or do you think it ended off on a very interesting point, so when season 2 comes up, you're revving, ready to go? And do you feel like there's any more? I haven't read the comic book, but do you feel like there's any more they can extrapolate from this story? I know there's certain aspects that they didn't touch on, but I think there were so many different themes that it would have been too much for this one season. So if anybody has read the comic that you feel like there's a lot more to go on for season 2, because I know this was a limited series, let me know in the comments below and how you feel about that, and how do you felt about the tone and the story overall. And my verdict, I rate things on a must-watch, watchable, or a pass. I think that the show is very, very watchable. I don't think it's a must-watch. I don't think anything in here is going to make you change the game for you or something that you have to see. But I think it's going to a lot of people are going to enjoy this, and it's definitely not something I think you should pass on. I think it's something you should take. It's only 8 episodes, 40 minutes each episode. Just take a chance on it. It's pretty good. Well, thank you guys for watching. I hope you like, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you can stay tuned for my next review or my next trailer reaction. And tell your friends about my channel. Peace.